Welcome, dear ones. I am Fedrajani, and you are listening to Inner Light, a podcast dedicated to kindle a light of meaning into your life. Today is a special episode as we will explore the Red Book as a profound guide for the inner journey towards the self in our current area, with our special guest, the Jungian Analyst Susan Schwarz, who brings deep insight into Carl Jung's The Red Book. I had the pleasure to talk with Susan and to hear her deepest thoughts and reflections regarding this fascinating topic. And I would like to share them with all of you on this episode. So now let's hear together the Jungian analyst Susan Schwarz.
My name is Susan Schwarz. I'm a Jungian analyst, and I was trained as an analyst in Zurich, Switzerland. And I have written quite a few books. You can see them on my website at www.susanschwarzphd.com. And I'm going to spend a few minutes speaking about Jung's Red Book. And so here we go. Well, actually, the Red Book is quite interesting. It was written by Jung quite a few years ago. At different times in his life, he added to it. It began actually almost 100 years ago in 1913, when he and Freud separated from each other. It was very painful for him. More than painful. It was excruciating. And he entirely switched his life around. And when you read the Red Book, why it is, and this is interesting, why it fits for us 100 years ago is that we all go through crises and crossroads. And what Jung did with his sorrow, his loss, his grief, his despair, is he went inward and he honored what was going on inside of him. Honored through drawings, and the drawings in the Red Book are amazing, and also through his writing. But what he did in the writing was something that he called active imagination. And that meant that actually every day he quite consciously took time and what he called dropped into the unconscious. In other words, he sat there and he let himself go way deep inside, and from the images that came forth, he began to write. And the Red Book is huge. It literally is a tremendously large book, but the equally huge are the places that he went inside of himself. And he tells a story of how he grapples with different elements of his psyche, which he did not even know were there. Philemon is one of them. He was a male figure who was a guide. Another one was Salome, who was his daughter, blind, but also a feminine figure. So we've got a masculine figure, a feminine figure, and again, these are not only particular to Jung. They actually, not in the same form, but they live inside of all of us. One of the things that I have found that is quite also amazing are the amount of people who really identify with the journey that Jung went through. So they can read the Red Book and take pieces out of it and say, aha, that's me. And when you find that identification, it makes one feel my journey is not alone. It has occurred with others throughout time. There is something so sportive when you realize that in fact you are not alone. on this tremendous journey towards oneself. Now, Jung called the self with a capital S, and that meant something personal, but also beyond personal. It's very powerful. In a way, it's what connects us to each other and where we can understand each other across cultures, boundaries, countries, time, energy. And the Red Book itself is rather timeless. There are certain books throughout history which quite are like this. Shakespeare is one of them. Tolstoy might be another. Many different writers and artists throughout time. Certainly, the Greek myths are absolutely throughout time, at least in our Western world. So Jung, by doing the Red Book, really brought out, again, the technique of active imagination, the honoring of what is going on inside of a person, even if it seems absurd or out of this world, or it couldn't really happen, or as Jung discovers, there is a serpent, or there is an image of God, whatever that means, or there is a descent into a place he has no idea where he is going. And in fact, the Red Book for many, many years was not published at all. This particular rendition of it was published in 2009. So he began it in 1916 or 1913, and it was, in a way, held in a vault. It was not shown to very many people. I believe Jung showed it to a few people. But after Jung died, the family said, no, this cannot be looked at, because they felt, in fact, that people would consider Jung crazy or too much on the occult. Thank goodness they changed their mind after much cajoling by the editors of the Red Book. And I say thank goodness because I think we have benefited from it hugely. So whether you have read it or not, perhaps it's in the atmosphere, perhaps it is around us. And one of the wonderful things I love to do is just open it and see what is in front of me. You know, it's like at random. Open it up and read something that always is appropriate to whatever I'm feeling at the moment. It's a little like, in a way, like the I Ching. I don't know if anyone has ever looked at them, but when you open the I Ching or you throw the coins, you find, this hexagram fits for me. Jung's Red Book does that as well. So there is a spirit throughout the book that reaches into our current day. And the story that Jung tells is a story of recovery from despair, from feeling disjointed, discombobulated, left, too alone. And Jung puts together the pieces of his personality as he is writing this, as he is drawing the amazing images that he drew, the pieces that he had never thought he would ever see or know, because he couldn't have known that. And he plumbed the depths of the psyche and found through this its reality, which he always knew. But you know, we kind of need to have it verified, and there he did. And so it has given us such a rich heritage that one feels, you feel a bit blessed that you're able to read it and benefit from it. One thing I wanted to say, and that years ago, even when you were studying at the Jung Institute, you had to have special permission to read the Red Book because it was to have contained quite a few esoteric images, thoughts, ideas, perspective that were not in our daily world. But when you read it, you see that in fact, these are not so strange. We encounter characters like this all the time, and we encounter characters like this in our dreams. So I really feel that the enchantment of the Red Book is something important to honor. I would also say it's not a book that you just read cover to cover. It's a book that you read, you integrate the information, you read a little more, you integrate the information. And I have found in my work as an analyst, not everyone relates to the Red Book, nor does everyone read the Red Book. But those who do find an amazing resonance with the internal world of themselves, and they find actually a resolve that they also can do, not what Jung did, because that was Jung's life, but they can do their own life, and they can honor the symbols and images that come through to themselves in various different forms, in different ways, relationships, dreams, life events, current events, and it helps us make sense out of a world that we might not understand. So I think I will about end there because we are at about our time limit, and hope that people will pick up the Red Book and find the enchantment not just of Jung, but of themselves through this amazing text. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you so much to Susan Schwarz for being our special guest on this special episode. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode, my dear ones. I hope you enjoyed it. You can listen to the episode for now on YouTube, YouTube Music, and Spotify. I am Fedrajani. Stay connected until the next episode.